You may be seated. All right, welcome, and thank you for joining us for Riley Lloyd's oral today. He's got a really interesting topic that I think is going to be exciting to hear and discuss. So I'm Jay Sakoff. This is Mary Hinson and Brandon Schumann joining me on the panel. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to let Riley take it away. Dear Lord, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for Riley. We thank you for what you've been teaching him this year and for what you've been showing him, and I think he's really passionate about. Just please bless his words today. Help us to learn the truths you want us to learn about this subject. Just please let your spirit be with us in this conversation. So we thank you. We love you. In Jesus, your name we pray. Amen.
Okay. Throughout all of human history, we have been listening to and making music. No matter what country you come from, what genre you enjoy most, or whether you can play music, everyone enjoys music. We have the creative freedom to make music about any topic we want, from music that appeals to our emotions, to our experiences in life, and our hardships. With music comes many questions that must be answered. Have you ever thought about how and why we are even able to make music, what gives us this freedom, and what we should do with it? Why does music exist at all? And most importantly, how is the image of God present in music? First, what is music? Music can be defined as Oxford Languages put it, vocal or instrumental sounds, or both, combined in such a way as to produce beauty of form, harmony, and expression of emotion. Now that we've given music a definition, another is needed: sound. Sound can be defined as a longitudinal wave that travels through a medium like air or water. Keep these definitions in mind when I mention the term music or sound. In my opinion, the definition for music is accurate. The definition for sound, however, is vague and does not explain where a sound can come from. But we will discuss that later on. The second half of our question must be defined too, that being the image of God. The image of God is also known as the Imago Dei and is defined in Genesis 1:26. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." The image of God is essentially the essence of our humanity. It is what makes us human, what gives us dominion over the animals and the earth, and how we can have a relationship with God. God made humanity after himself, so naturally we would inherit some of his abilities. Now that we have defined our main terms, we can continue. First, a question that is vital before we can talk about anything else. We must know how music can exist. Where does music come from? Where does it originate? A composer may say he made a symphony, but does that mean he made the music himself? Or did the person who made his piano? I think the answer to this question is no. I used Oxford Languages' definition of music in the beginning. In this definition, there is a very important detail that must be highlighted, that being the word combined. This implies that the composer did not create his music out of thin air, but harnessed multiple pieces of sound and combined them together to write his music. Now, I think there is no debate our composer or any human at all can create sound, or a new sound no one has ever heard of, like how no artist can make a new color. The only possible explanation for where sound, and therefore music, comes from is that we could not have created it ourselves. As humans, we can only harness and combine to make something of our own, given the sounds that already exist in the universe. Just like math. Math has always existed as our system of the universe and how the universe operates. Every few hundred years, someone discovers something new about mathematics, but that's all humanity can do, discover. We do not create math, just as we do not create music. So if humanity did not create music, then who did? There is a clue hidden in the Bible. For my thesis, I interviewed Tyler Dodds, who many of you may know as the past worship leader for Stonegate Youth, especially if you went to camp. He told me about this verse during my interview with him, and it blew my mind. Zephaniah 3:17 says, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." According to the Bible, God is with us, and out of his love is singing over us. God is the creator of the universe and everything in it, And if he sings over us, then that must mean that he is the one that both made sound itself and the faculties which make music possible. Now that we've defined what music is and who created it, let's move on to the next question. Where can we see music in our world, or more specifically in nature? Well, something I think is important to discuss is that God designed us intentionally and after himself. He gave us legs to walk, eyes to see, hands to grab, and ears to hear. God has already pre-programmed countless sounds across nature that have nothing to do with humanity. Looking at nature, one obvious example is birds. Birds are some of the only animals to actually sing in nature. Birds sing to attract mates and defend their territory. And if you've ever heard one, you will know that they are very pretty sounding. However, the bird does this only by instinct, not some artistic ambition. Another example is our heart. The human heart is always beating and at a very certain rhythm. All it takes is a very slight deviation, and this can result in health complications, such as shortness of breath, chest pain, fainting, and weakening of the heart itself. Another example of sounds in nature is rain. Rain is very relaxing, and so are the waves of the ocean, which is pretty sad because we live in Midland, Texas. Something I don't think people realize is how complicated the systems of music are. Any sound produced by anything, a bird, a voice, or a guitar, produces a longitudinal wave that passes through a medium, like air, at a certain frequency. For example, let's take a common A triad. Now, this is a chord with 3 notes. Now, if you play this chord and everything is in tune, then it'll sound pretty good. But take any one of the notes and slightly pitch them higher or lower, and it will now sound terrible. Such a complex system of sound must have a cause. As explained before, as he created the universe, so God made this system too. A system that has infinite possibilities depending on how you divide the sound frequencies that can be heard. An example of these possibilities is the differences in music across cultures. For reference, common music in America and most of the world uses the Western scale, which has 12 notes per octave. In Arabic music, however, their scale is completely different. They utilize quarter notes, which are impossible to play on a normal Western instrument like a guitar or a piano unless you're out of tune. There are literally infinite combinations for what can be made from just what God has given us. This is a great gift, an artistic form of expression just as important as painting or sculpting. And using our free will, we can write any kind of music we like. But what power does music have over our minds and our culture? Take, for example, Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett was a famous singer and showman during the 50s and 60s. When Tony Bennett was 94 years old, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. His memory began to decay, and he started to have a harder time with short-term memory. During preparation for his career finale, filmed on 60 Minutes, the anchor, Anderson Cooper, was shocked at how when rehearsal time came, Tony Bennett seemed to turn back into a showman. He was able to perform the finale concert and remember all of the lyrics. How can this happen? How is someone with Alzheimer's able to remember a whole set? Well, according to Charter Research, music is a powerful memory cue. You've probably experienced this yourself when a song gets stuck in your head. Hearing a song that was played at a school dance, a wedding, or a party is proven to remind you of that event. No matter how rich or poor a culture is, or how educated they are in music theory, every culture has found a way to make their own music. Every person has the freedom to make their own music and insert their own personal experiences and ideas within it. Despite these sounds coming from vastly different places and ideas, they all hold the same principle. That being, they make vocal or instrumental sounds, or both, combined in such a way as to produce beauty of form, harmony, and expression of emotion. However, this definition says nothing about humanity being the ones who make the music. We live in a day and age where AI can make music for us and at similar quality. So if AI can make music for us and the music sounds just as good, then why should we make music at all? In the fall semester in Fine Arts Music, we had a small debate over AI. Most of us came to the conclusion that AI music would never be as good as music made by humans. But why? To make music can be a long and laborious task, but for AI, it can be done in minutes. It can also do very complex techniques, such as a guitar sweep picking or a singer's highest note. So if AI can make music better than us, faster than us, then that means they are the superior artistic force, right? Wrong. In the beginning, I defined a vital term for this argument, that being the image of God. Our sole and most powerful advantage against AI music is the fact that we are made in the image of God, not AI. The reason why AI music will never be as good as the music made by us is because AI is missing the fundamental part of our being which allows creativity to exist in the first place. Instead, we made AI in our image and in our likeness. Humanity is imperfect, so it's only logical that AI is missing fundamental parts of what makes us human. The creativity to make music is one of those fundamental parts and can only be found in the image of God. So if music can be made by every culture, remembered by Alzheimer's patients, is uncreated by humanity but by God, and can be conformed to any culture and idea, what is the true purpose of music? To find the answer, let's look at our main terms again. We know what music is, we know what sound is. We discussed that God is the one that made sound, and therefore the resources required for music. We also said that God made us in His image and likeness, and gave us the free will to use it how we please. So given all of this, what is the true purpose of music? Well, the sole purpose of music is to glorify God by taking the sounds we are given and creating something that glorifies Him. St. Augustine said in his Confessions, addressing God, "Yet man, this part of your creation, wishes to praise you. You arouse him to take joy in praising you. For you have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." God gave us the ability to do this by giving us His image. It's because God made us from nothing and after His likeness and sings over us, we inherit His ability and urge to create music, so that when we die, we will be able to sing with Him. So how should we apply this to our lives? In Francis Schaeffer's book, The Art and the Bible, he has an idea of how we should interact with art, and it's under the Lordship of Christ. The idea of the Lordship of Christ is the idea that just as we have dominion or lordship over the earth and animals, so will Christ over the Christian. Schaeffer highlights that the arts, including music, must be made under the lordship of Christ for them to be truly beautiful in God's eyes. The image of God is given to every human who is born, and if the image of God gives us the ability to make and enjoy music, then we should use that ability. Everyone on earth should participate in music. No matter what background you're from, whether you can dance, whether you can play an instrument, God gave you the image of God, so you have the right and freedom to make music thanks to Him. So it's our job to take this gift and live it out under the lordship of Christ, as Francis Schaeffer described. In conclusion, music plays a major part in all of our lives. Next time you get goosebumps when you hear a new amazing song or write something yourself, remember the sole reason that you can make, listen, dance, and have a fiery passion for music is because of the image of God that lives inside of you. It is because you are human and have the image of God that you are therefore destined to inherit the creative abilities of the infinite God. Thank you.
All right, well done, Riley.
Thank you.
That was awesome. So what are your plans for next year?
I'll be attending Tarleton State University in Stephenville, Texas, engineering. Nice. As of now.
Musical engineering?
Perhaps, maybe.
Okay. So what is your background and history with music?
Well, I grew up in a very musical family. Everyone over here has something to do with music, so I think it's only I don't know, but I don't think it's. I guess it's partly genetic, but I don't know. I feel like I was born this way.
I mean, I think there's some truth to that. Like, my mom is very musical, and I find myself doing things like she does, and it's like, that's a little odd, but I mean, people are made with different gifts, right? So what was the point of inspiration that you had for writing about this particular topic?
I think, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just that feeling you get when you listen to something amazing, and it's like, I don't know, for me it's like I can feel my heart rate like accelerate. It's like, oh, this is awesome. It's like, why does that happen? It's like, why does this make me feel this way? Or, so I don't know. I was just kind of curious about it.
So for you, does that only happen when you listen to music or when you make music as well?
I don't know. It's more intense when it's a full song and it's just at full pace. And for me, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but it's like in my mind, it's like I kind of try to predict what's going to come next. So it's like they're going to do this next measure. And when I guess it right, it's just like, oh, whoa.
So you're very familiar with music, right, and how it works and music theory. And we'll talk about that some more later. But I want to get back to the speech itself, because I remember this conversation taking place after your interview, and I wanted to give you time to expand. What were your thoughts when you realized that God sings over us?
This is crazy. Very underrated verse. I feel like it's not talked about enough. It's just like, what? Like, can you repeat that, Tyler? Like, what did you just say?
Yeah, right, in the often read book Zephaniah. Why do you think God places such a high value on us singing praise and worship to Him?
Well, I think it's because we're born with free will. So, 'cause I mean, if we were just slaves to God, then us singing with Him wouldn't mean anything. It would just be blind. But since we have free will, if we choose to sing with God, then it's better.
So if the Bible talks about Him singing, and then He calls us to sing to Him, does that mean music is more valuable than other forms of art?
Do you want my opinion or
Yes.
the right answer?
I mean, try to combine them, right? You want your opinion to be right.
Okay. For me, yes, but I think more objectively, I think they're more all equal. Just because it's something we do with our creative ability. For me, music's better because, I don't know, painting, like you can witness like that painting, but it's already been painted. But with music, you can witness the creation, like at a concert, of the music being made, if that makes sense.
I think it does. So I have thought about that before. Music in that sense is a more active form of art, even when you're listening to it.
Mm-hmm. There's more participation, too.
So what do you think of the fact that we will be able to sing and make music with God Himself someday?
I think it's great. I mean, I don't know, it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it does. I appreciated talking with this about you all year long, because I think these ideas I'd never had before. So I'm really grateful for our conversations and for these realizations for myself as well. All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. What's your favorite genre?
metal.
Okay, so how do you see the image of God in this music, which is often, right, pretty dark, pretty violent?
I don't know. It's just a different, it's kind of complicated because metal comes from rock and rock comes from blues. So it still has that blues foundation, even if it's like buried, but it's still there. I don't know. It's just still, the creativity's still there. It's not, if you make metal, you don't have to talk about this. You can talk about anything you want, just like any other genre. So the creativity is still there.
Gotcha. So blues buried under levels of distortion.
Yeah.
All right. So why do you think you are drawn to that kind of music personally?
I don't know. Well, for one thing, I play guitar, so it's like kind of cool to see like people who are crazy at the guitar, and it's like, what did they just do? Or it's like, but I don't know. I think I've always been kind of drawn to more like exciting music. I don't know, when the drummer is just slamming the snare, it's kind of exciting, where it's like, I need to lift something.
I totally understand. So, James Hetfield or Dave Mustaine?
Oh, why'd you do this to me?
I'm sorry.
Oh, gosh. For riffs, James. And then for solos, Dave.
That's fair. Yeah, I think it's fair. But in this world of metal, how do you personally apply the worship of Christ, right, as you explore and navigate and create this kind of music?
Just try to, I don't know, just don't let the metal people say you can only talk about this, when that's just not true, because I can talk about whatever I want, and I will. So I'm going to talk about Jesus or the Bible or whatnot, stuff like that.
So this is my last question, this one I thought before I pass the mic. Can music be a bad thing? Like, are there kinds of songs or music that we should stay away from?
I think so, yeah, definitely.
And why would it be the case?
I actually had it in my thesis paper, but it got cut because the paper was too long. But it's just, like, if you're sad and you listen to a sad song, then that's not really a good thing, because your mood's not really going to improve after you hear someone crying over a guitar track. That's just not going to happen. Or you're not going to be, I don't know. I think it can be, or I don't know, if you're not on guard against something like weird lyrics or something like that, then it can be pretty dangerous.
All right, well done. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Riley.
Hello.
Thank you for sharing with us. I'm excited to get to talk to you about this. All right, so if music reflects the Imago Dei, do you think that people should be able to enjoy every genre of music at some level?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because that's just not realistic.
Okay.
Because I know everyone in here, if they heard the music I listen to, then they'd probably all run away. But that's just not realistic. Like, I don't like hip-hop, and I mean, but I know a lot of people in here do. So it's just preference.
So some of it's just understanding and appreciating the creativity aspect of it, but if you're not personally drawn to it, that's fine. Okay,
Right.
That's good. I don't have to listen to polka on my drive home today, so
polka.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. Okay, when we create music for God, do you think that sincerity is enough? So is, something like worship at assembly the same or able to be as impactful as going to a concert in a big arena with thousands of people?
So do you mean like, is it the same? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so both, can you have a similar experience in both of those situations? And to what degree does God want technical excellence in our creation of music as well?
For me, the worship I hear, this is going to be a hot take, the worship I hear on the radio is, unless they're being sincere, which if they are sincere, then it's fine. But the worship I hear on the radio is almost disrespectful. Because if you're going to set out to make a song for God, and you're not going to try your absolute hardest to try to make it the best song you possibly can, then, I don't know. To me, I'm not going to write like Smoke on the Water and then put Bible lyrics over it. That's just not, for me, that's not going to cut it.
I actually have another question about that, so it kind of loops into your answer. Do you think it's bad that most popular music follows the same general structure, just like there's set chord progressions that most popular music seems to follow? Like, are people just addicted to ear candy and what's easy to kind of predict, like you were saying earlier? Does that type of music have the potential to bring the most people together too? If most people like it, then you should give, to some degree, the people what they want, and it can unite most of us rather than, us getting just lost in our preferences and separate.
I think if it gathers people, then that's great. Especially if it's for worship and you have a big arena full to the brim and you're playing worship music, then that's awesome. But I just think what was the first part of your question?
Is it bad that most popular music follows the same general structure?
I don't think it's bad. It can just get kind of annoying sometimes.
That's fair.
But, we have the freedom. If you don't want to listen to it, you can just turn it off. So it's not like we're forced to hear it constantly. But it's, for like the song structure of like verse, bridge, chorus, that doesn't really bug me. But when it's just you have a 5-minute song and it's 4 chords, then it's like, okay, get me out of here. Like, I don't know, personally.
No, I get that. I play in a band with Mr. Miller and some other people.
Oh, okay.
And we were trying to book like gigs over the summer, and our initial set list, a lot of venues didn't accept unless we put more kind of standard recognizable songs into everything. And so after we like revamped it and submitted it to them, they would say, okay, you can play here now. And so that's just something I've been thinking about too, is that it seems to be approachable to the most, the widest swath of people, but it can be very boring to play, basically. And so, yeah. All right. If someone's not going to create music for God, or just create music in general, how would you encourage them to be a good listener? And is being a good listener an Imago Dei skill also?
Like a listener to music?
Yeah, if they're not going to create it, they're just going to consume it.
I would just be on guard against, like, what is this person really saying? Like, look at the lyrics. But that's kind of obvious if you're singing it in the car or whatever. But if they're a good artist, then just support them and listen to them a lot, and don't be a poser. And don't just know the one song if you like them.
Yeah. So actually be invested in the art they're creating rather than just latching on to the hits or trends or stuff like that. All right. I have a few more and then I'll pass it off to Mr. Schumann. So you talk about AI, and I don't necessarily want to talk about that, but I do want to talk about another way that we've kind of been doctoring music already, which is through music production. And so do you think that, like, is live music better or studio recorded music better? Because most of the time we produce music to be flawless and sound a certain way. And does that hide the Imago Dei?
I don't think so. It's just, I think it's a difference. It's just like perfectionism, where it's just like, that take was not good enough. And neither was this one. Neither was this one. And then you're just constantly slamming the space bar until you get it right. But I think, I don't know. I think when it's more not perfect, it's more memorable. I don't know. Like, it's kind of, it has more of a charm to it. And then live music is, I don't know, I haven't been to many concerts, but I appreciate concerts because there are no redos. So it's just, if you mess up, just keep going, stay on the beat, and just, yeah.
All right, my last question, I think. What does God singing over us sound like? Is that just a nice metaphor, or is it something you think you can actually hear?
Dang, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I've never thought of that. Or maybe it's, I don't know, just kind of going on a whim, but maybe him singing over us is giving us musical ideas, if that makes sense. So it's like, you should do this, and it's just like, I should do this, and then I don't know, maybe I have no idea.
Do you have any ways that you've maybe heard God singing over you this year?
I don't know. There's been the past few, like ever since I really started to get serious with the guitar, I've been noticing, like I was talking about, the goosebumps moments where it's just, you hear something and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is going on the playlist. But just that feeling, I've had that quite a lot since, not just this year, but just a lot the past few years.
Right, and what's your proudest musical accomplishment?
Oh no. I don't know. Trying to think of like, what's my hardest. I'll say I used to, I'm not sure if I still can, I used to be able to play a whole album, which was Leprosy, which is fire.
Yeah.
But if the heaviest thing you've ever heard is Master of Puppets, don't listen to it, because you won't like it.
Nice. All right, thank you.
I'm glad to hear it wasn't Guitar Hero. It's your greatest accomplishment.
It was not Guitar Hero.
All right. Okay, I've got just like one question, and then I want to give you some quotes and hear your thoughts on these quotes. So the question that I've got is, what's the difference between harnessing and discovering versus just creation?
Okay, so creation, I think, is something, I don't really think we can create really anything. There's not much, I don't think there's anything I can think of that we can like really just it's there. But we have to use other things, other resources to. I don't know. It's annoying because when you create something, then it's confusing because when I say create, I mean like spawn, like just out of nothing. So I guess when you make something that you use multiple pieces and you combine them together.
Yeah, I mean, the atheist Carl Sagan said if you want to make an apple pie from scratch, you got to start with the universe. You just got to create all the stuff that's there. And so kind of what I hear you saying is we're more like Isaac Newton or Christopher Columbus when it comes to music or art or really anything that we make than we are just a pure creator. Is that right?
Right, because we can't. I mean, I use the example for math. So, I mean, no one has ever just, like, created a new math concept and just, like, all of it works. That's just never happened. But we can discover, like, Mr. Priya probably knows what I'm talking about, but it's just that kind of concept.
Yeah, and, I mean, I think perhaps as being made in God's image, I mean, God is a creator, and we're with that dominion verse of have dominion over the birds of the air, the fish of the sea. I mean, we might be co-creators with God, not in the same, like, kapow, there it is, speak and it exists, but we collaborate with God, taking the sounds, the material, and the infrastructure that he's put in the universe, and then we make it something else with him and in cooperation with him. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, I'm going to just give you some quotes and just would like your kind of first take reaction on them. Giving you a heads up, this is from Plato's Republic, and Book 3 of Plato's Republic is all about music. And so, here they are. So, musicians by nature imitate the mood and character of the soul, and so are the various modes of music are essentially moral. And then another quote he says is, through foolishness they deceive themselves into thinking that there was no right or wrong in music, that it was to be judged good or bad by the pleasure it gave. And so just what Plato's getting at is that all music, it has this essential moral element to it. What's your take on that?
Well, I think the way I think about it is the music you write on paper, like the ABCD, do, re, mi, whatever, that can't be evil or good because it's just the music. It's not inherently good or bad. But the intentions you put on it, like the lyrics, that can be evil or good.
Yeah, I think what he's saying with that is like there's music stirs the soul and then orients you in some direction, pre-lyrics even. But you would say it's the lyrics that like the word message that kind of it makes it good or bad. It's okay to disagree with Plato, by the way. He's not God.
I just think. I mean, the music itself is not. It's like a tool. I mean, it's not good or bad. I mean, it's just there. But the intentions. So I guess me and Plato would disagree that. Because even the music just by itself. I mean, if you're sad and you hear a sad melody, then this is a sad song. But it's like, it's just a minor chord. I mean, it's not, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, well, he takes it a step further, and he says that when the modes of music change, the fundamental laws of the state always change with them. And then in a letter, he said, "Let me make the songs of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws."
Can you say that last part again?
Yeah. Let me make the songs of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws. Like, in other words, the real cultural legislator are the artists, not Congress.
Oh, I kind of agree with that a little bit, because I don't know, because in world history too, we talked about the circle of art. What was it? Art, culture, and then oh no.
Yeah,
What
like
was the third one? No,
like philosophy affects culture.
Yes,
and
then,
that's like art, and the
so
rest
it's
of it,
just
and that affects
the
society.
loop.
Yeah.
And then, so art is more close to the culture than, I don't know, politicians who are in DC, I feel like.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to pass it back to Mr. Acuff. Thank you.
All right. I actually had some questions that are along that same line. How much of an impact do you think music has on shaping a person's identity? Like who they end up becoming?
I think it depends on how passionate they are for music. Because, like, if they're, like, just, like, a fan of just, like, this one artist, it's like, oh, yeah, I know him, then it's not, I don't think it's really that influential. But if you have, like, a die-hard, knows all the songs, all the lyrics, all the everything, then, I don't know, that can be more influential. And also, it can you kind of copy the culture of that music to yourself if you're really obsessed. So yeah.
So do you think it's possible to escape the influences of music on culture, like as an individual? Or is it kind of an inevitable thing that you end up living in?
I don't think it's inevitable, but it's very tempting to just like, I like this thing, so I'm gonna just be the most extreme version of it. But it's possible to stay, like, kind of ease up and just kind of like, okay, I don't really want to be a super diehard.
All right, so I have kind of some other scattered questions that are loosely related, but I think they're all very interesting insofar as things we haven't been able to talk about yet. So you say that music's final purpose is to fulfill, the final purpose is fulfilled whenever it glorifies God. So a lot of music that we're both aware of does not glorify God. So does that mean that that particular music has failed in its purpose?
I'll say the people have, but I don't think the music itself is at fault, because it's just, like, how do you blame the music? Like, the music didn't do anything. It's the person who's holding the guitar.
So does it have to be explicitly worship music to glorify God? Can we write music about human experiences or emotions?
I don't think it strictly has to be worship, because he gave us the freedom to do whatever genre we want, and as long as that our intentions go back to him, then I guess it would be still worship, but not the genre worship music.
So this kind of feeds into the next line of questions. We've talked about this a little bit with like birds and nature sounds. So whenever birds sing, they make beautiful music. How? If they're not made in the image of God? What's going on here?
Well, I don't think they're, because like I said, they aren't doing it out of artistic ambition. Birds don't have the urge to create a symphony or something. Or at least I hope not, because that'd be pretty weird. But, because we have the image of God, so we inherit His creativity and His urge to create, and we're the only ones that have that. So, but I think the singing of birds is just, I don't know, it's just kind of, I think God just, I don't know, I just think He kind of just thought, you know what would be cool if birds could sing. That'd be pretty cool.
So you think He's programmed birds to sing, but He's given us some other ability, some other creative force.
Yeah.
So I want to clarify something that Mr. Schumann asked, because this is where it kind of, I think the heart of the matter is, what is the nature of our creation? Are we really just like discovering new mathematical formulas, or are we doing something that is like an original production whenever we make a new song?
I think it's because of our free will. It's because we choose to set out and do those things, that those become our discoveries. But all the music that has ever been written and will be written has already been written because God exists. And so I just think, but He gave the symphonies that Beethoven wrote to Beethoven, and that, I don't know, kind of like a, does that make sense?
I think it does, but then it's like, did God write Pantera songs?
Oh, gosh.
Or Linkin Park songs?
Maybe some of them, but I don't know about. But He gave us the freedom. So I think maybe the music itself, maybe yes. But as for the lyrics and whatnot, probably not. I don't think so.
All right, last question. This is from Mr. Custer. So we talked about this last night, and I thought it was a really interesting point. What about the angels? Right, so the angels seem to be able to worship and to make music, but they're not made in the image of God. So just, what do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of, this might sound weird, but it's almost like they're kind of cheating. Because it's like, you're singing and making music right next to the source of creativity and music. So, I don't know. It's just kind of like when us on Earth, there's so many options. There's infinite options, musically and lyrically, but I don't know. When you're in heaven, there's not much else you can think about.
Interesting. So they're closer to the fountain of the source.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
Awesome. Well done. The questions are over. So now it's time to pass the mic to you for you to ask us your question.
Okay. Okay, so I mentioned the goosebumps feeling before. Have y'all ever had that feeling? And if so, what song?
Yes. I mean, a lot of times. It's going to be the question of which one do I want to talk about. I think this one might be the example I want to use. There's a song called It Is Well with My Soul. And the story behind that is a man who, I don't want to go into all the detail, but it's like a more modern day Job. Like, he lost everything. And he wrote that song, It Is Well With My Soul, when he was on a ship in the water, looking at the place where his daughters had just died in a shipwreck. And I think to be able to hear his faith in his words and his music while experiencing that tragedy, it just, whenever you look at the lyrics and the themes of, the storms and the waves of life, it hits hard. There's a depth there that you don't find everywhere. So I think that's the most recent song it's happened with. Good question.
I don't know individual song necessarily. I really like concept albums, and so it's more albums that are kind of taking me through a narrative that I get that experience. Some just because of the story itself, and some because of what it builds to, basically. There's a couple that come to mind. In my classroom in B2, I have a skateboard, basically, and on the deck of that skateboard is the album art from 10 Stories by my favorite band, Me Without You. They don't exist anymore, but that album is a concept album about a circus train that gets derailed, driving to its next location, and the elephant, who is the god character, breaks open all the train cars and lets all the animals escape. And each animal represents a different worldview, essentially, and each of the songs in that album are following what each animal chooses to do with their freedom. And then at some point, the elephant gets hung for letting everybody free, which is kind of interesting because there was an actual circus elephant that was hung at some point for breaking out of its cage, essentially. And so there's a lot of historical references to it. It's kind of goofy in the way it's presenting everything, but the whole narrative that it's telling is incredibly powerful. And so that one always has a deep effect on me. Other albums that do that, a lot of albums that deal with grief or cycles of grief. I really like the trio of albums that Nick Cave produced around the time his son died. So Push the Sky Away, Skeleton Tree, and Ghosteen are all about walking through just unprecedented grief and cycles of pain, and then him coming out and seeing God on the other side. And I just think watching that movement in someone and how God is working in their life is really beautiful. And so those albums like that kind of stay with me and give me that goosebumps moment as well.
Yeah, it's lots of them from different eras of my life. High school, going with concept albums. Smashing Pumpkins with Melancholy and Infinite Sadness.
Is that the rat in a cage?
Yeah, Bullet with Butterfly Wings.
I still remember that.
That's
World History 2 class.
Yeah, that's yep. I play that to Selah every night before she goes to bed. Beautiful Things by Michael Gungor is one that I like a lot. A lot of them speak to brokenness in the world. The soundtrack to The Mission, very different, but it goosebumps me. A lot of things by Switchfoot and John Foreman. He's my man crush. And then probably more recently, Andrew Peterson's My One Safe Place talks about just how his wife is a sacrament to him, and that God speaks to him. And then a couple weeks ago, I got to go see Hadestown and the song "Why We Build the Wall," and just all the lies that we believe that are all circular, that keep us trapped from living life the way we should. So, so that's what I've got.
All right, cool.
Among others. I'll go ahead and close this in prayer. You did a great job, Riley.
Yeah, thank you.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for what you're doing in Riley's life. We thank you that you're the great composer, and and allow us to play into your symphony and your song. Lord, I thank you for what you're doing with Riley. I thank you for the music that he's going to make, both metaphorically and literally. And Lord, I pray that he continues to use his gifts to glorify you and to build your kingdom. And it's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen.